Sam, that's smart that you're doing it with Kevin, so you can actually learn as you go.
I wanted to try it to actually see if we could do it. You know how sometimes you watch a video and it never works the way that video says or the instructions say, and then you have to ask a few questions to be like, hey, I don't understand.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying to change my pedals, but I literally, these things are harder than anything I've ever turned in the whole world. Yes.
Yeah.
So your pedal, you're trying to use a hex wrench to turn this one, right?
I'm actually using a.
You're trying to turn it from this side, right?
Yes. Yep.
Right.
Yes.
So there is another. You could actually turn this one as well.
Okay.
But this one actually requires like a special tool because it's kind of too narrow for the regular monkey wrench to go in.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I used to have a pedal wrench. Did I bring it from Amy's place? Yeah. I couldn't find it. You have a pedal wrench that actually has a long handle, so you actually have a more
more leverage.
Lever to, yeah. But if you're trying to just turn from this side, then you're basically using something like this, right? Right. You're trying to use something like this to turn. Okay. Pastor Sam, if you're turning from this side, you actually have to turn the opposite direction because thread goes out that way.
Yes.
Right. So okay. So this is my left side. So is threaded opposite direction.
Uh-huh.
This is threaded opposite direction.
Okay.
So if I'm trying to take off this one from the inside,
uh-huh,
I have to do it the regular normal way, this way, right? So for yours, you actually go the other direction. You have to go to the right direction.
Oh, you have to go clockwise. Okay.
Yeah, you have to go clockwise because you're doing it from the back.
Okay, I'm gonna go in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to hold you up, so keep on going. You could start with everybody.
I don't know. Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thanks for Kevin's Bike Bar. Today, we're gonna basically go over a few things that you must do or you should do in order to basically tune your bike for summer season. So I'm gonna basically go from the real basic one, such as how to change tube, and then if we have time, we could go over more advanced tuning, like how to fine tune your shifter, or how to even replace shifter if you have to. So. So I have a bike here. Where's my cameraman? Oh, yeah, okay. All right, so first thing first, right? So, all right, so, so most common thing that everybody need to do is, basically replacing tube. So I took out this tire. In order for you to replace tube, you gotta have tools like this. These are plastics. You could see it, right? But you could do it with 2 screwdrivers. I used to do it when I was young. The problem with using 2 screwdrivers is that you may puncture tube while you're doing it. So, back in old days, I didn't really have a proper tool, so I just used 2 screwdrivers. But these are more proper tools for taking out tires. These are made of plastic, so there's no way for you to puncture tube. So what you do is, can they see? 1, like that, right? And then use another one, which you go underneath. Okay, and then you start to get everything. Okay, and then you don't have to take out the whole tire. All you need to do is there's a this is called nipple. You know, so you just have to take out the thing, and then you can basically take out the whole tube, right? And there's, you know, sometimes I just did it for one bite. You know, there is a like rim tape right here that stops tubes from puncturing, because you know all these spokes are going through. So there's a screw right here, right? So there's a cover that covers all those screw. But sometimes, you know, when I took out this tire, when I took out this tube, basically the rim tape was broken. So, you know, sometimes, a lot of times I just use electric tape to go around it, and a couple of times to cover those screws. But, and then you could also get this is called rim tapes. You could buy from Amazon for maybe $20. And this guy, you know, material to maybe, you know, tape, I don't know, like 2 or 3 rims. But you don't need it. You don't need to have this. You could just use electric tape to cover the rim. So once you take out, and let's say you bought a new tube. So when you're buying a tube, make sure that you're buying the right size. This is a traditional 26-inch bike. It's a slightly old bike. Nowadays they go by metric, you know, 650s and 700. And then they also have a width. Now this is about 1.75 or 1.65 inch width. But the new bikes nowadays, they're especially the mountain bikes, the new mountain bikes, they're much wider. They're like 2.2, 2.3 inch. So you kind of have to buy the right tube that covers that's for your tire. So let's say you bought a new tire, you put it on. I would just, you know, start by putting this one back in there. So you kind of open it like this, put it in. Okay, and then go around it and put the tubes in. Okay, and then like usually like 90% of time, you don't actually use any special tools to put the tire back in. So just use one thing that you need to be careful is that sometimes, you know, if the tube is coming out a little bit and you're trying to put it in, you know, make sure that you don't pinch it, right? If you pinch it, you're basically popping the tube again. So make sure that you kind of use a finger to make sure that your tube is in there before you try to close them, okay? So I'm almost done with this. So this one is the tire is big enough where I could just use hand to put everything back. But sometimes, like there are some tires where it's very tight, so you kind of have to use you know, you kind of have to use the tool. Kind of have to use, you know, tool to put the tire back in there. So, you know, this looks okay. Make sure that your stem is straight before you know, pump the tire in, and then make sure that you have a good foot pump. at your house. This one you need to pump to maybe like 45 to 65 psi. All right, so that's how you replace your tube. If you want to change the tire, a lot of times. So a lot of times what I do is, I get a bike that has very knobby tubes, knobby tire. I mean, for a dirt bike. And if you're only riding on streets and pavements, then you don't really need to have a knobby tire. So you probably want to replace, with a street tire. They're more smooth and they don't have these knobs. So that's something that you might want to consider. On the back here, so this is Caroline's bike. As you can see, it just doesn't have knobs on tire. It's just pretty flat, and this is for just street riding. Okay, so tire, the tube replacement. Next is I have a board where I wrote down things I need to cover. So next is brake adjustment. So next thing that you need to know how to do is brake adjustment. So let me just change the bike. I don't want this one. Okay. I can't see. Don't do. Okay, so basically, the brake cables are just metal cables, right? So once eventually they'll stretch, which means that you kind of have to keep adjusting it so that you could have a very depending on your riding style. Some people wants to have a brake where you go all the way to the end where you kind of stop, or some people just want very sensitive brake where you just have to do like this and you just kind of stops. So based on riding style, you want to adjust your brake. So over time, the simplest thing, the 90% of brake adjustment happens right here. I don't know whether you could see it, but it happens right here. Right here. This. So typically when you first install brake, this is a normal position, right? And over the year, what you need to do is kind of like loosen it a little bit so the cable gets a little bit tighter and tighter as you loosen it. But don't do too much where your brake pad is starting to touch the rim, right? So you kind of have to see how far. Right now it's not touching. But if I keep losing, okay. So now my brake is very sensitive. So it only takes this much to break it, to stop. And I think this is too sensitive, so I probably don't want to go down. I don't want to go that much. So I probably want to just stop right here. Right here, okay? And then I'll lock it with another screw here. So this is how you lock it.
Kevin.
Yes.
So if you turn it clockwise, does it get more sensitive and counter is less sensitive, or which direction?
So when you go clockwise, I mean, like, so if I go counterclockwise, I'm making it more sensitive,
Okay.
right? So it doesn't require much pull to stop. But if I go too much, it's going to start touching rims, right? So I don't want to go too much. So you go to the level where it doesn't touch your rim, but still have a good, so you can pull it. So like, men, they have a big hand, right? So they could tolerate, going, I guess, pulling for a lot. But if you have kids, yeah, so they don't, their hand is probably right here, right? So they only want, you want to make them sensitive, right? And also, if you're working on your kid's bike, there is a screw. This one doesn't
You try and make it sensitive.
have it. Yeah, some brakes, there's actually a screw right here. It's a stopper, right? So let's say your kid can only reach like this much, right? Then you could actually adjust the screw right here so that it stops at that level, rather than going all the way to the end, maybe, and then maybe your kid would have a hard time reaching all the way to the end and then grab it. So yeah, so this one doesn't have a screw, but usually it's like some brake, they actually have a screw right here, so that you determine where you want the brakes to, like when you release it, go all the way to the back, right? So typically this is probably too long, too far for kids to grab it. So you probably want your brake to maybe stop like this much, stop maybe like this much, and then by adjusting screw right here, so that it doesn't travel more than that much. So this one doesn't have it, but I think the kids bike, you may find a brake that actually has a screw right here that adjust, that basically sets the where the brake's going to stop. Right now it goes all the way to the end, right? But you can make it so that it kind of stops right here. So it's actually more kid friendly. Yeah, so like 90% of time, all you need to adjust is this one to adjust your brake. And you probably want to do it once a year. It's like an oil change, every year, a few times a year you have to do oil change, right? This is something like oil change where the cable is going to keep stretching. As you use this brake more and more and more, your steel cable is going to just keep stretching. So you kind of always have to adjust this, so that you still have a good braking system. Okay. What if you went all the way to the end? Let's say you went all the way to the end. This is about. Let's say you went all the way to the end. Okay, so this is the end, but still you don't have a good brake. Okay. Then what you have to do is put it back in, and now you have to work on. You basically have to pull the cable. You have to pull the cable from here. Okay. So this one. So what you have to do is you have to loosen your cable from here. Okay.
Kevin, if you have the opposite problem, like mine's is too tight,
Yeah. So and then it's too tight, and this one is all the way to the end.
Yeah, it can't turn anymore.
Yeah. Then you have to come here, and then you have to loosen it.
Okay.
Maybe like maybe a quarter inch, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just for the rear tires. I'm going to try to
Yeah.
do that now.
Yeah. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this cable. So if I let it go, basically it opens all the way, right? So I'm going to just manually hold it and then pull it. Oops. Just have to. Back. Okay, I'll just grab it hand by hand and then slightly loosen. I'm gonna just let it loose, maybe 1/4 inch. And then tighten it. So basically this is for the major adjustment. All the minor adjustment happens here. But if you try this one and still cannot get the bike to be, tightened, the brake to be responsive, then basically you have to go to the bottom and then you just have to pull the cable a little bit more. And
Now, Kevin, on
Yes.
Jack's bike, he has that problem, but on the back side, back brake.
Yeah, same concept.
So you just open it up, pull that string down.
Yeah, open it up, pull. Okay, so basically, before you do that, go back to your adjuster
Right.
and go all the way to the minimum setting. Okay,
Yes.
go back to the minimum setting
Uh-huh.
and go to your brake, and then pull it by maybe 1/4 inch. Okay,
Pull it by 1/4 inch.
pull maybe 1/4 inch. Okay, so now my brake is actually more responsive.
Okay.
I think I pull it maybe 2 millimeters, 2 or 3 millimeters.
Okay, 1/4 inch.
Yeah, pull 1/4 inch and then tighten it and then go back, make sure, and then just kind of test it. Okay. And then here's another problem. Here's another problem. So, okay. I'm gonna try. Okay, so if you, okay, problem solved. Okay. So right now there's a clippers, right? And then normally they should all move at the same time. And then, yeah, so this one, they're kind of moving at the same time, right? So it's okay. And then if I were to spin the rim, it's not touching anything, so that's fine. But sometimes what you see is that you only see one pulling. The other one is kind of stationary. Right, so let's say this is stationary. So it's only pulling the one, left or the right side, and that's a very common problem as well. So you want the I don't know what these are called. You want the clamps to be basically, grabbing the rim at the same time, and they should be moving at the same time. If not, there's actually adjustment that you can make. Right now, actually both are moving fine. But if one of them is moving,
More in about a 1/4 inch from where it was before. Was it like in between?
yeah, I mean, you could pull maybe 1/8 inch and then try that. Usually, whenever I unscrew this one to pull cable, I usually pull about 1/4 inch and then try to fine tune it with a fine adjuster. Okay. Anyway, so if you have a problem where only one of them is moving and not both, and most likely when you have that kind of problem, you're gonna have a problem where the pad is actually touching your rim as you spin. And sometimes, you try to fix it by loosening your brake, but that kind of like makes your brake less responsive. So the way you fix the problem is there is a screw right here. I don't know whether you could see it. It's a Phillips head screw.
And then you got to pull that
This-
thing down.
Yeah, this one basically controls the tightness of the spring. So based on if you want to like make it loose or make it tighter, so that both springs are moving, both clippers are moving at the same time, you kind of have to play with this. This is a very common problem as well. This basically it's a mechanical spring. So over the year, they kind of lose their elasticity. So you kind of have to adjust this on both sides so that the clamp, your arms are basically moving at the same time, right? To grab your rim. If one of them is moving, you're gonna have a problem. Okay, so you basically use a Phillips head to adjust this, so that both arms are moving, basically grabbing your rim at the same time. Okay, so that's it. And then if you're, normally the brake pads, unless you ride it every day, this will last your lifetime. I rarely have to change this brake pad. If you're riding your bike, 4 or 5 times a year, you're never gonna wear this out. This is a bike brake pad, right? You're never gonna wear it out. But if you wear them out, then there's a basically you could take it out using you could take it out and then replace with the new one.
So Kevin,
Yes.
if we did it where it was where you couldn't move the brake at all, that probably means the adjustment was, because you said a 1/4 inch.
Yeah, maybe you move it, you pull it too much. Maybe 1/4 inch was too much.
Okay, so it really is a very small adjustment.
Yeah, it's very small adjustments. So right now, yeah. So if you pull 1/4 inch,
Yes.
and your arms are already touching the rim,
Yes.
then you pulled it too much.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
So, okay.
Yeah, or loosen it and then go back and
Okay.
maybe just pull like 1/8 inch.
Okay.
Yeah. So this one looks good. Brake adjustment. Yeah. Okay. And then another thing. So let's say let's say your rim is bent a little bit. So as you spin, it's touching it. Then for a little bend, you could actually fix it using this tool right here. So basically, there's spokes right here that kind of pulls the rim. So this one is attached to the left side. This one is attached to the right side. So this one, if I were to tighten this, basically the rim's gonna come forward toward me. If I were to tighten this, the rim will actually slightly go away from me. So you could change, if your rim is bent a little bit, like maybe 38 inch maximum, then you should be able to fix using tools like this, and then basically adjust or release this one according to the direction that you want to move the rims. If your rim is bent too much, let's say about 1/4 inch, then just easier to just get a new rim. They're not cheap, but it's hard to fix rims that are bent beyond maybe 1/4 inch. So sometimes I buy a bike and the rims are touching brake slightly, then I just use a tool to to true the yeah, they call it true the ring, so that it doesn't touch brakes. Okay, so brake is done, and then seat. Yes, another common problem that another common thing that you may have to replace is the seat, right? So if you fall, basically you're gonna scratch your saddle, and then sometimes you're gonna have a tear on your seat. So seats are very easy to replace. Basically, there is a screw. Most of the time, there's a screw right here on the. So there is a screw right here, right? And then you loosen it, and then there's a clamp that holds this. So actually, I have another example. Just look at the camera. So if you want to replace your saddle, just loosen this, and that opens up this clamp, and then just take it out, put it back in, and then just tighten this one. And then depending on how back or how forward you want your saddle to be, you could adjust it. And I mean, there is no like the right or wrong adjustment. Basically, you kind of have to sit on your saddle, and then see how comfortable you are. Sometimes some people want to have a saddle kind of on the forward side. Some people want to kind of lean back, and so that they want saddle to on the rear side. So you could start it from the middle. You could have the clamp in the middle, and then based on your height or your torso or side, the length, you may want to adjust this forward or backward. Okay. What else? Brake adjustment, seat adjustment, saddle replacement. Okay. Shifter.
Actually, Kevin, can I ask you a question on the brake? This screw right here. If I can, I'm trying to shine it.
Okay, yeah.
Or no, you can't see.
No, keep talking.
That one.
It's kind of frozen though.
Wish that one thing doesn't. I wish I could show it to you, but it kind of locks in. It's going good, but then the brake squeezes it, and then it shifts the whole shifter to the whole brake to the left. So okay. I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay, so okay. Yeah, so like older bikes, so Chris, you're saying that this one kind of shifts the whole thing.
Yeah, like you need two brakes. You want to keep it even to clamp. Right.
Uh-huh.
And then the right side, it spins good, but as soon as you brake, one moves and it stays over there so stiff it doesn't go back. You know what I mean?
Okay, so you may have a bad brake. So like a lot of times what I see is that the older one, they actually use a plastic and
Yeah.
then over the year it kind of cracks. So when it
Okay.
cracks, the brakes are still there, but then as soon as you apply some pressure on it,
Yeah.
it doesn't stay in that position.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what's happening.
So that means you gotta replace the whole arm. They're like
Okay.
they're not expensive. They're like $20. So
Okay.
you gotta replace the whole arm.
Or I could just write it so it's so wide, so
Well,
I
Yeah,
I'm trying
I
to
mean, as long as you're okay with that. I mean, wide means that you have to pull more to brake, right?
Yeah, really hard. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, as long as you're okay pulling a lot to stop, then that's
Yeah.
not a problem. But it's not a hard. I mean, I replaced so many of these ones. Like when I buy old bikes, they're all cracked. They all have a crack right here, where
Yeah.
I could no longer apply pressure. So I just replaced them. They're like 20%.
Yeah. I mean, this bike, I like this bike because it's so tall.
Mhm.
See?
Yeah.
So anyway, I'll let you go on. Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, you could replace the whole. You could replace the whole arm. They're not. I mean, I was gonna replace.
Okay.
Yeah. See, like here, I have a set. I have a set where I'm gonna replace. The other bike that I was working on, I'm gonna basically replace the brake arm with the new one because I know that is the old one, old style, so then I can do it out. So yeah, I mean, yeah, so it's not a common problem where the older clamps, the arms, they kind of crack, they kind of develop cracks at the end where you can no longer apply pressure. And if that's the case, then you have to replace it.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay. So shifter adjustment. Okay. So shifter adjustment. Let me see. I'm gonna put it. Okay. So shifter. Oh, okay. Let me go back. Okay. So the shifter also has a micro adjustment right here. So and just like brake, over time, the cable stretches, so you kind of have to turn this counterclockwise to make it tighter, right? So over the year, you kind of have to turn this maybe a quarter turn and or to make it tighter, and then you kind of have to test your shifting to make sure that you're making the right adjustment. So this is one that requires a lot of this one. Try and error kind of thing. You just have to keep trying until you get it right. So okay. Okay. So right now I set my shifter to the smallest cog, and there basically this is called derailleur, and they always have two screws. This one you could actually see screws. right? So you see those two screws. Some derailleur, the screws on the bottom. So there are two screws. One is lower level limit. Another one is the upper level limit. So there's a sometimes you see L and H, and I actually don't know. Like sometimes I get confused which one is which. So I kind of have to play with it. So one stops your chain from going beyond this level, right? So sometimes if you don't have the limit set properly, chain's gonna fall off, right? Chain's gonna fall off, and you kind of want to you're gonna ruin your frame. So you don't want derailleur to go beyond a certain level. So what I do is I try to. So I set it I set the shifter at the lowest level. So I kind of use my eye to make sure that this lines with this. This kind of lines with this, right? Looks like right now, I think this one, the shift, I don't have problem with shifting, so it should line up. So you see that it kind of lines up, right? This one lines all the way to the next, this one right here, okay? If they're not lining up, that means you kind of have to adjust the limit so that it goes in or it goes out a little bit. So that will be, and then that will be your starting point, right? So make sure that the chain on the smallest cog lines up with your derailleur, this one right here, okay? Let's see, yeah, as you can see, it's kind of lined up, right? But a lot of times I see bike where it doesn't line up. Then no matter if it doesn't line up, no matter what things that you adjust, you're always going to have a problem. And basically you have to have a good starting point where your derailleur is going to start going up as you switch your gear, right? So if it's not at the right starting point, then it doesn't matter how much you adjust, you're never going to make it perfect. So this is kind of a starting point. You want to make sure that this lines up with the derailleur, and if not, use one of the screws. I forget which one is which one, but one controls the left, one controls the lower limit, the other one controls the upper limit, right? So use the one so that it kind of lines up, and then once that's lined up, you shift the gear to the next level, okay, and make sure that it goes to. So so make sure that it goes up one more without making that sound, right? If you're making that sound, then that's when you have to use this one to fine tune it, because basically if I'm switching one gear, it's supposed to go to the next level, and if not at the next level, then you have to use this one to fine tune it. So I'm going to go all the way to the end, to my highest point. Okay. So now I'm at so this is actually, I'm at the lowest gear, which is basically the biggest cog. What happened? Oh, I locked it, huh? Okay, so Bichal's phone got kicked out. It's coming back. Let me let you in. Okay, I'm gonna set to mute. Hello. Yeah, but can you raise it? Can you? Hello, hello, hello. Speak. Yeah, we're having problem with the phone.
No, can't join the meeting.
No, you're.
Just use that computer.
I can't. Because I need to zoom here. Okay, I see it again. Joining. Yeah, down. Internet audio. Okay. All right. All right. I think we're back. Let me mute here. Okay, so basically, so I move my shifter so that to the lowest setting, so that now the chain is all the way at the top. So there is another. So basically, there are two screws here. So remember, I was telling you about the limit screws. So this one, basically the chain should stop right here. It doesn't matter how much you pull, you should stop right here. But sometimes if you don't have the upper limit set correctly, then it's gonna basically also fall off from the chain, fall off from the cogs. And then you don't want that. You don't want that, right? So so it's important to set your lower limit and upper limit so that your chain never falls from the cog, from the cog. Okay. And then so basically, you do it, and then there's same things for the front. Yeah. And you do the same thing with the front derailleur as well. So you test it. They also have it. They all always. This one also has the two screws, right? So basically, one controls the lower limit, another controls the upper limit. So that if your chain keep falling, whether it drops to the inside, it drop inside, or it kind of goes off, you want to basically control the limit using these two screws here. Okay. And then, okay. So now, this one requires adjustment because I'm at the lower setting, and then I'm trying to move it by one, but it doesn't grab it, right? That means I have to use the so basically I have to use the adjustment here. Turn counterclockwise, maybe one, maybe two, and then test it.
So Kevin?
No, still not grabbing.
Kevin?
Yeah, still not grabbing. So I'm gonna. now it's catching. So I kind of turn it maybe halfway. You could kind of feel the stops, right? Like it kind of like moves 1/8 turn at a time. So I moved it. So now I'm gonna test again. Good. Now it goes up to the next level, right? So now it's working properly. Yeah. Okay, so try it again, testing it. Okay, grab next level. The next level. Okay. Yeah. And just like brake, this is the microcontrol to adjust your cabling. But if you basically turn all the way counterclockwise, where this one is basically falling off from falling off, and still not doing it properly, then you have to pull the cable. And basically same thing, just like brake, you kind of have to loosen the brake cable and then pull it maybe 1/8 inch to maybe 1/4 inch, and then lock it, and then go back to the microcontroller, and then basically fine tune it again. It just requires a lot of trying and error to get it right. But once you understand how the cabling pulling works, then it's pretty, yeah. You eventually, once you keep doing it, then eventually you'll get it. And so just like brake shifting also requires adjustment every year. What else? Okay, we have about like 3-4 minutes. So do we have any questions?
So Kevin?
Yes.
Do you hear me?
Yeah.
So if where you said the when it makes that sound,
Yeah.
that's generally okay. Is that generally okay for it to make that sound? It's where you're not pedaling or anything. You're just riding, coasting, but it has that.
Yeah, when your bike is coasting, it's turning pretty wheel, right? So it's always going to make that sound.
I see.
Yeah, like you're talking about like you're talking about this sound, right?
It's
So,
it's a louder sound actually. It's like,
yeah, depending on your I mean, this is Shimano. I know that SRAM
yes.
looks more louder noise.
So
yeah,
it's this sound.
Basically it's turning free wheel, right?
Okay. Yes. Free wheel.
Yeah, it's gonna make that sound.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then man, I cannot get my pedals off. And the thing is, I need to change it because those are old clips, and I want to change it off, but I cannot change it. Like, I don't know what is. It is so solidly on. Is there any?
You could bring it to me. You could bring it to my shop. You could bring it here.
Can I bring it to the bike barn?
Yeah, you could bring it to my bike barn, and then we'll figure out how to do it.
Okay. Oh man.
Yeah, the pedals are basically they tighten really hard. Yeah, so it's very hard to take them off. And sometimes when you have an old bike where it kind of
yes, and my bike's old, so
then it's super duper hard.
yes. Okay.
So that's why you kind of need a special wrench. I have other wrench where literally it's like this long. So I
Oh. Okay.
to loosen it.
Uh,
I
okay.
don't know where that went. Amy, I used for Amy's kid's bike
Uh-huh.
2 weeks ago, and I don't know what happened.
I see.
Yeah. So.
No, that helps. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin.
And then, show you another common problem with older bikes where, I don't know whether you could see it. So basically this is the wheel bearing, right? The bearings are in there.
Uh-huh.
Well, over the time, they wear off, right?
Okay.
And they start to make some clicking noises. As you turn,
Uh-huh.
you start to make clicking noises because the bearings are worn off.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's a very common problem. Let's say you ride maybe 500 miles, it's gonna wear off. So
Okay.
eventually you have to replace that.
Uh-huh.
And that requires a special tools. So yeah, you need a tool like this.
Oh.
So basically, I mean, there's little screw here. You could take that out.
Uh-huh.
But you may not able to pull it out because it's stuck in there.
Oh.
It's paper. So you need a tool like this to basically go in.
Uh-huh.
Go in. And then, yeah, you have to basically use a special tool to take it out. And then you also need a special tool to take out the derailleur. Where's my tool? I don't know where my tool is. Oh, right here. So basically, derailleur. No, this is called. So this is called bottom bracket.
Uh-huh.
The bottom bracket looks like this.
Uh-huh.
It's threaded on both sides.
Okay.
Yeah, and depending on the bike, this is a square. This is tapers. I think they call it taper square
Okay.
or square taper.
Uh-huh.
So this is the most common one. But if you have a high-end bike,
Mm-hmm.
they actually use a different system.
Ah.
But this type is on maybe 70% of the bikes.
Okay.
But if you have a higher end, then they try to use aluminum, where it's no longer like this, but it's a different shape.
I see.
And also there are two sizes. I think in terms of diameter.
Mm-hmm.
The mountain bikes are the 73 millimeters.
Uh-huh.
In the road bike, I think they use a thinner one, 68.
Oh.
So you could actually look up your bike spec you could just Google it, and then you'll probably find a website there where they tell you the bottom bracket size for your bike. So
Okay.
you could just buy this. This one was like $20 from Amazon.
Uh-huh.
And the other thing that you need to be careful is you need a special tool like this.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
To take it out.
Okay.
And then this one, so this one, the right side,
Uh-huh.
where the chain rings are,
Uh-huh.
is a threaded reverse.
Okay.
The reverse threaded.
Yes.
So
I hate the fact that everything's reversed.
yeah, and because they don't want the things to loosen as you pedal.
Yes. No, I understand. It makes sense. But man, it's
So pedals and then the bottom brackets.
yes.
So the reverse, the bottom bracket,
Yes.
the right side is reversed.
Mm-hmm.
Pedal, the left side is reversed.
Mm-hmm.
So I never remember that. So I actually wrote that on my
Yeah.
I wrote that on my wall somewhere.
Left side is reversed.
So, yeah. So every time I need to take out a pedal or bottom bracket, I just have to get that sheet
Yeah.
to remember which one is reverse threaded.
Yes. Yes.
because if you don't know that, then you're gonna basically try to turn the wrong way, and you're basically gonna break it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
No, thank you. Awesome. Thank you so much. That was great.
Hey,
alright.
Kevin, do you
Yes.
do you think I really should change that right brake? You know, that problem, because I'm trying to show you. See, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
And I should buy just this piece, right?
No, you cannot do it. You have to buy the whole set.
You mean
You
I have to
cannot-
buy?
Yeah, you
I have
cannot
to
just
buy even this?
No, I'm talking about the. Okay, so yeah, so you could buy. Yeah. Basically, one set come with a left and the right arm, right? So you
Yeah.
have to buy. You don't have to buy the brake. You just have to buy these.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Kevin.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye bye. So
So I have all the tools. So if you need to borrow the special tools, I have all the. I think I have pretty much all the special tools. Like, if you wanna change chain, you need a tool like this.
okay.
If you wanna change, if you wanna change this one, let's say this. If you wanna change this one, you kind of you need a special tool to take it out. So I have all the tools. So
Okay.
yeah.
So this problem I have is definitely you think it's just the old brake.
Yeah, I think definitely old brake, because they basically there's a plastic piece that kind of holds the spring together, but then the cracks. Then
Okay.
no matter how you pull, that's just gonna move. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to replace this. I think I can do it. I'll just buy
Yeah.
those two arms.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're like $20, I think, Amazon. They're
Okay.
not that expensive. Yeah. All
Okay.
right.
Thank you, Kevin.
Okay. Bye bye.
Good night.